back. Them Brothers from Inglewood podcast once again, coming to you live and direct. I'm Hoopy, your host, and it's a blessing to be able to come and share today about some interesting news that transpired just on yesterday. I know so many of you have heard about the episode with the Oscars, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But before we do, I want to say thanks to the Coalesce Group for everything that you're doing in the academic community. Thank you for launching so many wonderful programs to aid our youth in academic compliance, ethics, and the things that have made a difference in our young people's life. We also want to say thanks to Fruit Off the Vine, clothing apparel for girls and women. We appreciate everything that you're doing to clothe and encourage self-esteem. We want to say thank you so much, Kristen Camille, for your vision. Thank you for allowing us to partner with you and be a part of so many great things that you're doing for young people. I want to say this to you that are watching and may have come across some people, or you know of some people that are challenged in just social norms. And I think today with the topic that we're going to introduce will help us kind of pull together and make sense of some of the things that we're faced with, that we're going through on a regular basis. And it's exciting to be able to be back in the studio and share. I know we've been away for quite a while, but there are so many different things that has happened to help advance the cause, and I think we're better equipped to bring presentations to you on a more consistent basis. Let me say this also. You that are interested in partnering up with us, it would be advantageous for you to do so, because we're going to have so many interesting guests in the month of April. Our calendar is filling up. I strategically made a gallant effort to bring in some very influential people that will encourage us on various topics. And so I just want you to stay tuned. We will be launching an episode on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. We're going to do lives as well, and those will be pretty much through notifications. We like to kind of, surprise you with some of those lives, but the regular episodes will be scheduled on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So look for us on our YouTube channel, and some will be on IG as well. We'll give you the handles just a little bit later. But we're here now, and so I want to talk about a very, very controversial situation that took place on last night at the Oscars. We all have heard, it's been on the news, it's been viral in so many ways, and so many people have opinions about it. And I could just hear my buddy Ronald Gaines saying that this is the subject that you need to discuss. You need to chime in on this and speak to some realistic things that will put those naysayers in perspective. The Oscars chaos, it was a fiasco in a sense. I want to talk about my perspective and opinion as to what transpired. It was on national television. I did not see it live. I actually got a chance to get inserts, and people were emailing me, DMing me, sending information to my page. I got a few phone calls, and I thought it, necessary to try to kind of give my perspective as it relates to how I would have responded and what my opinion is as it relates to how Will Smith responded. Will Smith obviously received an Oscar, which is a huge feat, and it is an actor's dream goal. I believe that it's probably the ultimate reward or award that an actor could accomplish. I mean, usually when they reach that status, doors just fling open. I mean, they are able to write their own ticket, as it relates to choosing roles and doing some of the things that they, so much desire to do, not so much what people want them to do. But Will Smith slaps Chris Rock on national television at one of the biggest stages of his industry, the entertainment industry, and it is a global industry, and people know who he is. He has a tremendous reputation. He is an extremely gifted actor and producer, writer. He has so many accomplishments, and obviously he's extremely gifted to go from rap music, hip hop, the world of hip hop, right into the acting industry. It takes a lot of skill and talent to do that. And I saw his maturation process. I was actually going back and forth to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, West Philly, and North Philly, to be specific. And I started going around 1991, so I had already become familiar with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And Philadelphia is known for music moguls, and that industry is very polished, and it's just saturated with talent. But I just want to, kind of, share my thoughts, speak my piece on what transpired, because I believe that it was not just a personal situation with Will Smith and obviously his wife Jada Smith and Chris Rock, who was affected by the what transpired. But I believe we as urban people, Black Americans, we as a culture, as a nation, as a village, however you want to, categorize us, it said a lot about Black people. And, I want to dismiss a lot of the hearsay and the speculation as it relates to what goes on in the Black community and in urban life, as opposed to that isolated incident. Will Smith obviously slaps Chris Rock on national television, and so many networks, talk shows, radio broadcasts, they were able to chime in. I didn't get to hear everyone. I did listen to a few that caught my attention, and I wanted to just kind of, speak to some of the details that they were giving, because we all saw it. It was on, it was recorded on national television. So I wanted to actually go live so I could get some feedback from people pertaining to what they felt happened. And I wanted to bring somebody on, but I just didn't have the time to really to do that. It's pretty late here on the West Coast. So I just want to say that I got a chance to listen to Marcellus Wiley and his co-host on their show on the ESPN network. I also got a chance to listen to one of my favorites, Shannon Sharp, and his colleague that accompanies him, Skip Bayless, and the show Undisputed. And Shannon, of course, he's always charged. He's always animated, but he's a very intelligent um, broadcaster. He's a very intelligent journalist, and I understood, a perspective that both of them shared, and I just kind of want to say that with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, Skip being of the Caucasian persuasion, and Shannon being an African American, also a part of a huge industry, sports industry. He's seen it all. He's played at the highest level. He's a world champion. He's from the South. I believe he was born in Chicago and raised in the South. He and his brother Sterling Sharp. So I give him a lot of credit. I actually agree with a lot of things that Mr. Sharp speaks to, and so this was something that I just kind of wanted to wrap my own opinion around as I was listening to him. But I just want to say this: Will Smith openly, publicly approached Chris Rock during the Oscars after a joke was said about Jada Pinkett Smith. And obviously, she did not take it in stride. Her expression said it all. Will Smith, initially, he laughed. I don't know if that was his way of working himself up to do what he did, but I noticed that when the statement was made about G.I. Jane 2, and the reference to her short hair, not knowing, from my understanding, that she was dealing with alopecia from, which is an issue that some people have, over time, or, some people, it affects people differently. But obviously, when you look at her expression, she did not appreciate the statement Chris Rock made. I believe Will Smith thought it to be typical, because you got to understand, both of these people are a huge part of this industry. They've been to the Oscars. They've watched the Oscars. They know celebrities, their colleagues, their peers. They understand the business. And I know people that are in the entertainment industry. And, of course, I'm not going to say their names, but I know people who have evolved in this industry as well. They may have not reached the level and height of a Will Smith or some of the other prominent actors like Kevin Spacey, or which is one of my favorites, Anthony Hopkins, who chimed in, Denzel Washington, who chimed in. He made a great, encouraging statement to Will Smith. I'll get to that in a few moments. But what I'm saying is, they understand in this element, in this situation, that jokes are a part of the show. Writers write these lines, even though sometimes comedians, professional, seasoned comedians, are used to host or to present on these platforms. And so Will is a comical guy himself. Jada Pinkett has an awesome personality. She's funny. I don't believe that Chris Rock was being malicious. I don't believe that he authenticated the joke. I don't believe he was the writer. I don't believe that he went off the top of his dome and ad-libbed and said, hey, I'm going to shoot this line, for a laugh. I can't speculate to that degree, because I've watched the Oscars long enough My late grandmother, Mother Laverne Parrott, she worked in the industry. She knew, the Bob Hopes of the world, the Johnny Carsons, and she knew these people personally, the Lucille Balls, and she talked about the industry and the climate and things of that nature. God rest her soul. But what I'm saying is, they, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, understood and understand the industry. And so for Will Smith to react the way he did, I'm not in agreement with it. I don't believe that that was handled right. I don't believe that that was the way to solve that issue. I believe Will Smith was already dealing with a situation between him and his wife. I believe that it's a sketchy, touchy, very sensitive time of their marriage. I believe that there were so many things surrounding his response. And I believe that he was overwhelmed and he responded out of just a terrible emotion. And I'm telling you, when you look at the clip and you see Jada Pinkett's face, Jada Pinkett Smith, I'm sorry, when you look at her response and the way she looked at Will, it was almost like, oh, you just gonna sit there and let him come at me like that? Like, it was almost like that alpha female, that, that boss chick. To me, it was like, it was an undertone. It was something else going on that prompted Will to respond, because it was a delayed response. If you look at the video, you see Will Smith laughing initially, and he laughed good. And then you see Jada Pinkett, the way she gestured, with her look and her body language, it was almost like, now I got to do something. But even though it hit home, it was a sensitive place that Jada landed in, I believe he could have done it differently. I believe that that was a calculated idea and response. So Undisputed helped us see from this standpoint. First of all, they said that the LAPD approached Chris Rock. They asked him if he wanted to press charges. Chris Rock said no. He deferred. He declined. He said, no, I'm not going to press charges. Okay. Because that was an assault on any level. If that was probably me or you, we would have been escorted out in handcuffs. We probably would have been parlayed, by billy clubs and everything else because, of Will Smith's status. They handled it, and he was really the guest of honor. He was being honored, and rewarded with the Oscar. So when you look at the ramifications for what he did, because that was an assault, that was an open, calculated slap to the face. And then what was so disrespectful to me was he hit him with an open hand. He didn't hit him with a closed fist. It was like, I agree with Marcellus Wiley's counterpart. He hit him with an open hand, and it signifies that, basically, I don't have any respect for you. I'm not just going to punch you. You're not worth a punch. You're not worth me, cracking my knuckles or breaking my hand. I'm just going to slap you because that's more degrading or embarrassing. So the Academy elected to allow him to receive his award. He gave his acceptance speech. He cried. He apologized to the Academy. He apologized to the people that were watching, the people that were there. But he never apologized to Chris Rock. He never directed an apology or gave remorse for his actions, which to me made it confirmed that it was deeper than what it was, because you're already embarrassed. So to apologize to the person you offended, it couldn't have been any more embarrassing than it was. So you owe Chris Rock an apology. And I believe somebody else said this too, and I believe it. If it was someone else, whether Jada Pinkett felt a certain way about it or not, he wasn't going up there and slapping them. If that was if that was somebody like, let's just say the late, God rest his soul, the late Nipsey Hussle. If Nipsey Hussle was the presenter and made a joke, he wasn't going to go up there and put his hands on Nipsey, Hussle, or some other iconic figure that presents themselves as being a strong male. I don't believe he would have hit Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is a good friend of his. I don't believe he would have hit Chris Spencer. Chris Spencer is also a great friend of his. I don't believe he would have hit Shaq. When you start to really look at it, it was more so he felt also he could get away with it, that he wasn't going to have any repercussions. He didn't have anything to fear. I don't know. This is my opinion. This is my speculation. But what I'm saying is, if that would have been a sports icon, an athlete, whether it was, let's just say, Donaldson from the LA Rams who was presenting, if it was LeBron James, from the Los Angeles Lakers, I don't believe that he would have responded in the way that he did. And I think we have to look at it at that, in that way as well. And we have to consider what Will Smith must be going through emotionally. I want to say this. It was a very, very, very embarrassing moment for me as a black man. I've been in situations as a young person, as a young adult, and I responded terribly. I've been that immature guy who got upset behind a girl, behind a dance. I was that kid. I was that young person. And over time, as I matured, I realized that it's immature. It's actually dangerous, especially at the time that I grew up. I grew up in an era where, fist fighting was for real. You had to go from the shoulders if you wanted real respect. It wasn't a lot of gunplay in the 70s and 80s. It evolved. It got, heated in situations. We did learn of people who, met their demise by gunplay and things of that nature. But for the most part, you had to really defend yourself from the shoulders. So I say all that to say that I've been there. I know how embarrassing it is to respond on the behalf of a woman who's not in danger. It's not like Jada Pinkett Smith was actually in danger. It wasn't like Chris Rock put his hands on her. It wasn't like he put his hands on Will. So it was really wordplay. It was really ego. It was I don't know where he was coming from, but from my perspective, as a young elementary, middle schooler, early high schooler, I was that insecure guy or egotistic guy that did not appreciate a certain way that another man or another male presented himself in my presence. So immaturely, I took offense and I reacted. And then as time went on, I realized that, hey, this could be a problem. I could lose my life. I could lose my mobility. I could get stabbed, or I could get hit with a blunt object and become, a paraplegic or something. So I had to wise up as well. So this is why I can say that he acted out of a very emotional place. I can't speculate as to what Will Smith was going through, but I will say that he reacted out of a very, very emotional place, and it was really no excuse for what he did. Maybe he had his reason. I was told in his book, I did not read his book titled Will. It's a lot of details about his life, his development. And there was one thing that I do remember. I wrote this down because I did not read the book. I wrote down some notes pertaining to the Traverse, way of viewing this. We have to understand that in his book he stated that he had trouble getting beyond the fact that his mother and father were experiencing physical conflict. And one day his father actually hit his mother so hard that blood came out of her mouth. And he didn't do anything about it. I mean, he was young, and it stayed with him for a lot of years. And he said that this was something that stayed with him for many years. He felt like a coward. He felt like he didn't do anything to defend his mother, and he said he felt miserable, and that was a terrible feeling that he obviously still walks around with. He says, all of my life, I felt like a coward for not stepping in to assist my mom. I think so. When you look at the layers, it could have prompted his response, but we know that there's challenges in his relationship that aired. She got on the red table, she sat at the red table, and she told the world that she had an affair with a young guy, and it was not considered an affair. It was an entanglement. And she had this with this young guy, and Will Smith obviously was extremely hurt. Their marriage was in jeopardy. Everything was compromised. They got back together, or they told themselves, we're going to stick it out and we're going to, hang in there. But I think it was very wise and encouraging on Denzel Washington's part when he quoted this. This was his quote. He says, "It's at your highest moment that the devil comes after you." Something along those lines. Denzel made a statement right away, which to me was wise, and it was very factual. But hey, I'm a Christian man. I believe in the Bible, so of course I'm going to be biased towards that truth. Whereas a lot of people, they may worship Buddha, they may worship Sun Young Moon, they may follow Hare Hare Krishna. I don't know. Everybody doesn't have the same faith, base, or faith belief. So, saying that it was the devil may be offensive to somebody who, don't believe in the devil, or may even worship the devil. And then some people will say, well, who is the devil? So you gotta look at it from different perspectives. But I thought it was a encouraging statement, helping us understand that in our life, at the point of success, we too will encounter challenges as we rise and get to the next plateau of our lives. There was something else that was said that I wrote down pertaining to Shannon Sharp. This is a quote from Shannon Sharp from Undisputed. He says, "He'll never be able to live this down. Will Smith will never be able to live this down." I believe it has tarnished a lot of the purity and I'm not saying that he won't be forgiven. I forgive him. I'm not holding anything against Will Smith. I forgive him. He's human. He made a mistake. He deserves a second chance. All the above. I believe it. But we already know a lot of people, they're not forgiving. Somebody's gonna make a joke even further. I've saw so many emojis and so many different videos since it happened, mocking and clowning Will Smith, clowning Chris Rock. So people are just not as forgiving as others. And he also says, this is a quote by Shannon Sharp. He says, "Embarrassing from the highest degree. What Will Smith did was embarrassing to the highest degree," according to Shannon Sharp. Why? Because it affected every black man, every black male, the black community. It said a whole lot about where we are. And I just think that if we don't process how far we've come, where we are, it's only going to get worse. I believe that there has always been a stigma. There's always been an asterisk. There's always been a challenge when it comes to Black American culture. The things that we had to go through, the things that we are going through. A good friend of mine told me, "Bro, this set us back as a black people." Now, my grandmother told me many years ago, you cannot allow one bad worm or one bad apple to spoil the barrel. So, with that being said, we have to become the village that we once were and continue building and empowering each other so that these things, not that they won't happen because life happens, but that we rally around one another, that we love one another, that we come together to encourage, to restore. I could quote a passage of scripture out of the Bible that talks about restoring our brother in a fall. And we have to learn how to see ourselves as prone or human enough to make a similar, if not the same, mistake. And so I know I said a lot about this. Oscars, chaos. That's my subject. But I wanted to come on and just share this because I know I'm going to get some phone calls from my buddy uh, Ronald Gaines, who is an extraordinary mind and friend of mine that holds me accountable, and he speaks the truth in love. And so, Ronald, if you want to get together and come in here and do a part two to this conflict, you know you're more than welcome. But in my closing, I just want to say that, yes, what Will Smith did, it bothered me. What Will Smith represented that night or last night, it bothered me because that's not who we are as a people. I do know and understand that things happen. Other ethnicities, other races have their problems. They have outbursts. They do silly things. It's not limited to an ethnicity. It's just not. I don't care if you're tall, short, slim, thick, full size, brown, blue, green, red, yellow, purple. It does not matter. I don't care where you live in the United States, if you live out of the country. We're all human and we're prone to error. But I believe the greatest thing that we can do is restore our brother. We have to lift up Will Smith. We have to lift up Jada Smith. We have to lift up Chris Rock. I believe Chris Rock handled himself and he handled that situation with pure class. That was a class act. He composed himself. He kept it together. And he proceeded as a professional. Chris Rock, kudos to you. I have the utmost respect for you. You're still a strong black man. You're still a consummate professional that I believe will continue to succeed in your everyday life. I praise God for you and your family and what you represented as a man on last night. And so I just want to say thanks for tuning in. Thank you for viewing this content. I am excited about bringing more. Like I said, our calendar is filling up for April, and we're going to really, really have some great things to share. So, I'm signing off. This car is coming to a stop, and we look forward to sharing with you once again on this platform. Take care.